Hello there, and welcome back to Bedtime Science. I'm really glad you're here tonight. If intelligence on Earth had evolved only once, in one familiar body, it might be easier to believe that minds have a single natural shape. A brain inside a skull, a face looking forward, a skeleton to give the body a stable form, hands, perhaps, to hold the world, a long childhood, a social life, and years of learning from others. The octopus breaks that expectation almost completely. It is a soft-bodied mollusk with no bones, no fixed outline, 8 flexible arms, hundreds of sensitive suckers, and a nervous system spread through its body rather than concentrated entirely in its head. It can squeeze through openings barely larger than its beak. It can change the color, brightness, pattern, and texture of its skin in fractions of a second. It can open containers, dismantle objects, explore novel spaces, learn from experience, and distinguish individual humans in aquarium settings. It can taste what it touches. It can see with camera-like eyes that evolved independently from ours. And during sleep-like states, it can pass through brief periods of flickering skin patterns and twitching movements that look, at least from the outside, strangely dreamlike. The octopus is not simply a clever animal. It is a reminder that evolution can build complex minds in more than one way. Tonight, we move slowly through that strange and beautiful world. The biology of octopuses, their arms, their skin, their senses, their short lives, their long evolutionary history, their problem-solving, their sleep, their possible experience of pain, and the deep question of what it means for intelligence to exist in a body so different from our own. Octopuses belong to the class Cephalopoda, a group of mollusks that also includes squid, cuttlefish, and the nautilus. The word cephalopod means head foot in Greek, reflecting the fact that in these animals the muscular foot that in other mollusks is used for locomotion has evolved into the arms and tentacles that surround the head. Cephalopods as a group are the most neurologically sophisticated invertebrates on Earth by a considerable margin, and octopuses are among the clearest examples of that sophistication. Approximately 300 species of octopus have been described, ranging from the tiny blue-ringed octopuses of the Indo-Pacific, whose bodies can fit in the palm of a human hand, to the giant Pacific octopus, Interoctopus doflini, the largest living octopus species. Exceptional giant Pacific octopuses have been reported with arm spans of several meters and masses exceeding 45 kilograms, though most octopus species are much smaller, with arm spans of a few tens of centimeters and masses of a few hundred grams to a few kilograms. The evolutionary lineage of cephalopods extends back approximately 500 million years to the early Paleozoic, when shelled cephalopods appeared in the fossil record. The nautilus, with its external shell, is not a living fossil frozen unchanged in time, but it does preserve something close to the older shelled strategy of cephalopod life: protection through a hard external chambered shell. Over the course of coleoid cephalopod evolution, the lineage that includes squids, cuttlefish, vampire squid, and octopuses, the external shell was reduced, internalized, or lost. In modern octopuses, the shell is essentially gone. The loss of the shell removed a major physical protection against predators, but it also freed the octopus body for extraordinary flexibility and maneuverability, enabling the soft-bodied, highly mobile lifestyle that characterizes modern octopuses. The trade-off, vulnerability for mobility, was solved in part by remarkable camouflage, venomous saliva, inking behavior, and the cognitive flexibility that allows octopuses to exploit diverse environments and adopt novel solutions to challenges. The intelligence of the octopus may be, in evolutionary terms, one answer to the problem of living without armor. The octopus nervous system contains approximately 500 million neurons, a number often compared, cautiously, with the neuron count of the cerebral cortex of a dog. making it one of the most neuron-rich nervous systems known among invertebrates. What is most extraordinary about the organization of this nervous system is where those neurons are located. Only roughly 1/3 of the octopus's neurons are in the central brain, located in the head between the eyes. The remaining majority are distributed through the arms and the peripheral nervous system, organized into ganglia that run along the length of each arm and provide a degree of local processing and autonomous control that has no close parallel in vertebrate bodies. The arms of an octopus are not simply appendages waiting for detailed instructions from the central brain. They are semi-independent sensorimotor systems, capable of complex local control, exploration, and coordinated movement without continuous command from the center. The arms of an octopus can handle many details of movement independently of the central brain. Experiments with isolated octopus arms have shown that the arm's own neural circuitry can continue to respond to touch and chemical cues for a short time after separation from the body, producing organized movements that reveal how much processing is built into the arm itself. That does not mean each arm has a separate mind in any human sense, but it does mean that the arm is more than a passive cable-controlled limb. This peripheral intelligence has practical consequences for the living octopus. The central brain can issue a broad directive, extend toward that rock, explore that crevice, bring food inward, while the detailed execution of how the arm bends, how it curves around obstacles, and how the suckers engage with the surface is handled locally by the arm's own nervous system. The octopus's central brain delegates much of the low-level execution of movement to the arms, freeing central processing for broader decisions. The suckers of an octopus are among its most sophisticated organs. Each arm typically carries rows of suckers, for a total that can range from hundreds to more than 1,000 depending on species and body size. Each sucker operates with substantial local control and can attach with remarkable force relative to its size, producing the formidable grip that makes it so difficult to remove an octopus from a surface it has decided to hold. But suckers are far more than mechanical gripping devices. They are dense with chemoreceptors and mechanoreceptors that allow the octopus to taste and feel what they contact at the same time. An octopus exploring an object with its arm is not just touching it with the sensitivity of a fingertip. It is sampling the chemistry of the surface as well, a combined chemical and mechanical sense that gives the animal detailed information about the texture, composition, and identity of anything it handles. The octopus's ability to change color, pattern, and skin texture almost instantaneously is one of its most astonishing capabilities and has been studied extensively since the early 20th century. Color and pattern change is accomplished by specialized structures in the skin. Chromatophores are tiny pigment organs that can be expanded by radial muscles, revealing their color, or contracted, hiding it. In an octopus, many thousands of these chromatophore organs can act like living pixels across the body's surface, creating mottled patterns, bands, flashes, and disruptive outlines at extraordinary speed. Beneath and around them are reflective cells, including iridophores and leucophores, which help produce iridescent, silvery, white, and background-matching effects. The skin texture is controlled by papillae, small muscular bumps that can be raised or smoothed, allowing the octopus to make its body surface look more like rock, coral, sand, or algae. The combination of these systems allows an octopus to produce displays of extraordinary complexity at extraordinary speed. The camouflage of octopuses is not simply passive background matching. It is active, dynamic, and sophisticated, a creative performance rather than a fixed pattern. Octopuses produce specific display patterns for different contexts: uniform, pale body colorations for resting and hiding, dark, mottled body colorations for hunting, specific patterns that break up the body outline against different substrate types, and dramatic, high contrast patterns for threat displays, communication, and possibly for startling predators. Research by Roger Hanlon at the Marine Biological Laboratory in Woods Hole has documented how octopuses analyze the spatial frequency and contrast of the background they are resting on and select the display pattern that best disrupts their visual outline in that specific context, an optimization process that suggests something more than simple reflex matching. The octopus is not simply copying the background. It is making a visual computation about what pattern will make it least visible on a particular substrate and implementing the result. The mechanism by which a colorblind animal produces such sophisticated color-matched camouflage is one of the more persistent mysteries of cephalopod biology. All octopuses studied so far have only a single type of photoreceptor in their eyes. They are genuinely colorblind in the sense that they cannot distinguish wavelengths of light in the way that trichromatic humans can. And yet octopuses produce color-matched camouflage that fools not only fish and other visually sophisticated predators, but also human observers who know what to look for. A solution proposed by Christopher Stubbs and Amanda Mellon suggested that the distinctive shape of the octopus pupil, typically W-shaped or U-shaped in bright light, creates chromatic aberration in the image focused on the retina, allowing the octopus to determine color by focusing the eye at slightly different depths and detecting which focus produces the sharpest image at each point. Essentially, the octopus's odd-shaped pupil may turn its single photoreceptor type into a de facto color sensor. This hypothesis has attracted both support and criticism, and the full mechanism of color detection in cephalopods remains an active and genuinely open area of research. Octopus eyes are one of the most striking examples of convergent evolution in biology. The octopus eye is superficially similar to the vertebrate camera eye. Both have a lens, a retina, an iris that controls light entry, and a structure that focuses an inverted image on the photoreceptive layer. Yet they evolved completely independently from entirely different developmental origins. The molluscan eye evolved from a simple light-sensitive pit in the body surface, while the vertebrate eye evolved from an outgrowth of the brain. Despite their different origins, the two eye types arrived at a similar optical design because the physics of image formation strongly constrains the possible solutions to the problem of seeing in water. The octopus eye even corrected one of the design flaws of the vertebrate eye. In the vertebrate retina, photoreceptors point away from the incoming light, and the nerve fibers running in front of the retina create a blind spot where they exit the eye. In the octopus retina, the photoreceptors point toward the incoming light, and there is no blind spot. The octopus arrived at what is arguably the better design through an independent evolutionary process. Learning and memory in octopuses has been demonstrated through dozens of carefully controlled experiments, revealing capabilities that are qualitatively similar to those of vertebrates with much larger brains. Classical conditioning, learning that a neutral stimulus predicts a biologically significant outcome, has been demonstrated reliably in octopuses. Operant conditioning, learning to perform a specific behavior to obtain a reward or avoid a punishment, works efficiently. Octopuses learn to navigate mazes, and they often appear to rely heavily on visual landmarks and local cues rather than on the kind of large-scale spatial maps familiar from some vertebrate studies. Some experiments suggest that octopuses can learn by observing other octopuses, though the strength and interpretation of this social learning evidence is still discussed. What is less disputed is that they learn quickly from direct exploration and repeated encounters with problems. They can distinguish individual human caretakers in aquarium settings and show different behavioral responses to different people, approaching familiar humans associated with feeding or avoiding and even squirting water at individuals associated with disturbance. The range and sophistication of octopus learning is difficult to explain through simple reflex conditioning and suggests something more like flexible, general-purpose cognitive processing. The famous octopus jar experiments have become emblematic of octopus intelligence in popular science writing. In laboratory and aquarium settings, octopuses have been found to open screw-top jars containing food, a behavior that requires understanding that turning the lid achieves the goal, applying sufficient force in the correct direction, and maintaining the grip of the suckers through the rotational motion. What makes these experiments particularly interesting is that octopuses appear to figure out the solution through exploration and problem-solving rather than by simple trial and error or by application of a previously known technique. They typically solve the jar problem on their first or second encounter with the jar, suggesting that they rapidly form a representation of the problem and generate an appropriate solution, rather than gradually learning through many failed attempts. Similar problem-solving ability has been demonstrated with child-proof caps, multiple component containers, and tasks requiring sequential actions in a specific order. Octopus play behavior that appears to have no immediate survival function and that is repeated for its own sake, has been reported by researchers and aquarium keepers, though it is difficult to study rigorously and remains somewhat contested as a scientific category. Multiple accounts describe individual octopuses repeatedly releasing objects into the current of their tank's filtration system and catching them as they float back, apparently for no reason other than the action itself. Some octopuses have been observed repeatedly approaching and exploring novel objects, colored balls, bottle caps, unfamiliar toys, in ways that suggest curiosity-driven exploration rather than predatory investigation. The difficulty in studying octopus play is the challenge of ruling out other explanations. A behavior that looks like play might be exploratory behavior with a navigational function, or feeding behavior toward a potential prey item. But the richness of the accounts and their consistency across different individuals and different facilities suggests that something play-like does occur in octopuses, and the existence of play is generally interpreted as a marker of cognitive sophistication in animals. The octopus's intelligence is thought by many researchers to have evolved primarily in the context of predation and prey capture, rather than in the context of social complexity, as is thought to be the case for vertebrate intelligence. Octopuses are solitary animals. They do not form groups, do not cooperate in hunting, do not maintain long-term social relationships, and for most of their lives actively avoid conspecifics. Social intelligence theories of cognitive evolution propose that the demands of tracking complex social relationships drove the evolution of primate and cetacean intelligence. But octopuses, lacking social structure entirely, clearly arrived at sophisticated cognition through a different route. The demands of hunting diverse prey in complex, variable environments, finding concealed prey, solving the varied mechanical challenges presented by different prey types, navigating a three-dimensional environment full of obstacles and hiding places, adapting hunting strategies to prey that learns to avoid the octopus, may have been sufficient selection pressure to drive the evolution of flexible, general-purpose intelligence in an animal whose ancestral body plan provided no physical advantages beyond camouflage. The octopus hunts through a combination of active searching, ambush, and complex manipulation. Their primary prey includes crabs, shrimp, lobsters, and various fish, all of which present different challenges requiring different capture strategies. A crab in a crevice requires a different approach from a fish in open water or a clam buried in sand. Octopuses have been observed planning multi-step approaches to difficult prey, pulling a crab from a crevice, tipping it upside down to expose the softer ventral surface, biting through the carapace to inject venom, waiting for the prey to die before beginning to eat, and carrying the prey to a preferred feeding location. This sequence of actions suggests something more than simple stimulus response learning. It implies a representation of the goal state, a plan for achieving it, and the flexibility to execute the plan despite variation in the specific situation encountered. Octopus venom is injected through a bite from the beak, the only hard structure in the octopus body, located at the center of the arms where they join the head, and is produced by venom glands in the salivary system. The venom of most octopus species is mildly toxic to humans, producing localized pain and swelling. The venom of the blue-ringed octopus, however, contains tetrodotoxin, the same potent neurotoxin found in pufferfish, produced not by the octopus itself, but by symbiotic bacteria living in its salivary glands. Tetrodotoxin blocks sodium channels in nerve membranes, preventing the propagation of nerve impulses and causing paralysis. There is no antivenom for tetrodotoxin, and blue-ringed octopus bites can be fatal to humans if the respiratory muscles become paralyzed before artificial ventilation can be provided. The blue-ringed octopus is a very small animal, but its venom is potent enough to be dangerous and sometimes fatal to humans if breathing support is not provided in time. Its vivid blue rings, which become brilliantly visible when the animal is threatened, are a warning display, one of the most effective in the animal kingdom. Ink, secreted from the ink sac and ejected through the siphon along with water, is one of the octopus's primary defensive tools against predators. Octopus ink is not simply a visual obscurant, a cloud to hide in while the octopus escapes, though it serves that function as well. The ink contains a complex mixture of melanin, the dark pigment that gives it color, and tyrosinase, an enzyme that impairs the olfactory chemoreceptors of predatory fish and suppresses their predatory behavior for a short period. The ink also contains compounds that interact with the predator's sensory systems directly, causing temporary confusion and suppressed predatory drive beyond the simple visual obscuration. Some research has suggested that the ink globe ejected into the water can function as a decoy, a pseudomorph that resembles the octopus in size and shape, distracting the predator while the octopus escapes in a different direction. The octopus can produce multiple ink ejections in succession if necessary, though the ink supply is finite and must be replenished after heavy use. The locomotion of an octopus is unlike that of almost any familiar land animal. For rapid escape, octopuses can use jet propulsion, drawing water into the mantle cavity, a large internal space within the body, and then forcefully expelling it through the siphon, a narrow muscular tube that can be directed in various orientations. By pointing the siphon in different directions, the octopus can move backward, forward, sideways, upward, or downward with considerable speed and precision. But jet propulsion is energetically expensive and is used mainly for sudden escape. For routine movement, many octopuses walk or crawl along the substrate using their arms, pulling themselves forward with some arms while pushing with others in a coordinated movement that can cover considerable distances while remaining relatively inconspicuous. Octopuses can also swim by undulating their arms and body, and some species, including the mimic octopus, can fold their arms to resemble other animals entirely, flatfish, lionfish, sea snakes, while moving in ways that mimic the movement of these other species. The mimic octopus, Thamoctopus mimicus, discovered in 1998 in the waters around Indonesia, is one of the most behaviorally sophisticated examples of animal mimicry ever documented. Rather than simply matching a background pattern, the mimic octopus actively impersonates specific other animals, apparently matching its impersonation to the specific threat it is facing. When threatened by damselfish, which are attacked by lionfish, the mimic octopus has been observed folding its arms and changing its coloration to mimic the appearance of a lionfish, a predator of damselfish. When threatened in different contexts, it has been observed impersonating flatfish and sea snakes, two of the most toxic or otherwise dangerous animals in its local habitat. The ability to select a specific impersonation from a repertoire based on the identity of the current threat suggests a remarkable degree of situational assessment and behavioral flexibility. The octopus must somehow identify its current predator, retrieve from memory the appropriate impersonation, and execute the physical mimicry in a coordinated way. Octopuses are almost entirely solitary, with interactions between adults typically limited to brief mating encounters and, in the case of females, the period of maternal brooding. The mating behavior of octopuses is both fascinating and, for the male, frequently fatal. In most species, mating occurs when the male approaches a female cautiously, given the female's tendency to eat males she finds unsatisfactory, and inserts one of his arms into the female's mantle cavity to transfer a spermatophore, a packet of sperm. The arm used for this purpose, called the octopuses, is modified in males with a specialized structure for holding and transferring the spermatophore. In some species, including Argonauta and others, the octopus detaches from the male's body and remains in the female's mantle cavity, wriggling independently for some time after separation. When early naturalists first observed this, they thought the detached arm was a separate parasitic worm and named it accordingly before its true identity was established. After mating, males typically die within a few weeks. Females survive long enough to brood their eggs, sometimes for months in large species, and then die shortly after the eggs hatch. The maternal dedication of female octopuses during brooding is extraordinary and is one of the most striking behavioral patterns in the natural world. After laying her eggs, which can number in the thousands in large species, the female attaches them in clusters to the ceiling of her den and spends the entire brooding period guarding, aerating, and cleaning them. She blows streams of water over the egg clusters to oxygenate them, removes debris, and drives away potential predators. She does not leave the den to hunt and does not eat for the entire brooding period, which can last from approximately 1 month in small, warm water species to as long as 4 to 5 years in the deep-water octopus Granulidone boreopacifica, the latter representing the longest known brooding period of any known animal. By the time the eggs hatch, the female is physically deteriorating rapidly, exhausted by months of vigilance and starvation. She dies shortly after the eggs hatch, having invested everything in ensuring the survival of her offspring without ever meeting them. The lifespan of octopuses is remarkably short given their level of intelligence. Most shallow water octopus species live for approximately 1 to 2 years, rarely reaching 3 years even in optimal conditions. The giant Pacific octopus lives approximately 3 to 5 years, making it the longest lived of the commonly studied species. This short lifespan means that octopuses must acquire and apply their cognitive capabilities very quickly, without the extended learning periods that long-lived intelligent vertebrates enjoy. A chimpanzee has decades to learn from observation and experience. An octopus has months. The speed with which octopuses acquire complex behaviors, solve novel problems, and adapt to new environments may reflect this evolutionary pressure. The animal that takes too long to learn does not live long enough to use what it has learned. The genetics of intelligence in octopuses has been illuminated by the first complete sequencing of the octopus genome, published in 2015 by a team led by Caroline Albertin and published in Nature. The octopus genome is approximately 2.7 billion base pairs, comparable in size to the human genome, and contains approximately 33,000 protein-coding genes, more than the human genome's approximately 22,000. What was most striking, however, was the expansion of 2 specific gene families in the octopus genome. The protocaterin genes, a family of cell adhesion molecules that play a critical role in the development and organization of vertebrate nervous systems, particularly in determining how specific neurons connect to each other, are massively expanded in the octopus genome, with approximately 168 multi-exonic protocaterin genes, a striking expansion compared with many other invertebrate genomes. The cephalopod-specific expansion of this gene family may underlie the complex organization of the octopus nervous system and may represent a convergent molecular solution to the problem of building a complex nervous system, similar genes, serving similar functions in nervous system development, expanded independently in both the vertebrate and cephalopod lineages. The RNA editing capabilities of cephalopods are among the most extraordinary genomic features discovered in any animal. RNA editing is a process by which the RNA transcript of a gene is chemically modified after it is produced from the DNA template, changing specific nucleotides in the RNA sequence and potentially changing the amino acid incorporated at that position in the resulting protein. Most animals use RNA editing sparingly. Humans edit perhaps a few hundred sites in the transcriptome, affecting a small number of proteins. Octopuses, squid, and cuttlefish edit their RNA at an extraordinary rate, tens of thousands of sites in the transcriptome, producing proteins that differ significantly from those encoded in the underlying DNA. Remarkably, the sites that are most heavily edited in cephalopod transcriptomes are enriched in neural tissues, particularly in proteins involved in ion channel function, the proteins that determine how neurons fire and communicate. The implication is that cephalopods can adjust the functional properties of their neural circuits through RNA editing, potentially adapting their neural function rapidly to environmental conditions such as temperature changes, without any change to the underlying genome. This degree of nervous system RNA recoding is far more extensive than what is typically seen in vertebrates and represents another of the genuinely unusual evolutionary solutions that cephalopods have developed for maintaining sophisticated neural function. The phenomenon of apparent sleep in octopuses has attracted significant scientific attention since a 2021 study published in iScience by Silvia Lima de Souza Medeiros and colleagues documented active sleep states in the octopus Octopus insularis, and later work strengthened the case that octopuses pass through distinct quiet and active sleep-like stages. Researchers recorded high-resolution video and, in later experiments, neural activity while octopuses rested. They observed transitions between quiet rest, often pale, still, and minimally responsive, and brief active periods marked by rapidly changing skin patterns, body movements, eye movements, and respiratory changes. These active periods can last roughly a minute and recur rhythmically. The parallel to our EM and non-REM cycling in vertebrates is striking, but it should be treated as analogy rather than identity. Octopus active sleep is not mammalian REM sleep. What makes it fascinating is that the animal rapidly passes through skin patterns resembling waking displays, raising the possibility that some form of offline neural replay or dream-like processing may be occurring, while leaving the inner experience of the octopus genuinely unknown. The philosophical implications of octopus cognition extend well beyond the biological details. The philosopher Peter Godfrey Smith, who wrote the book Other Minds about octopus intelligence, has argued that octopuses represent the closest thing to an alien intelligence that we are likely to encounter on Earth. The last common ancestor of humans and octopuses lived approximately 600 million years ago, a simple, flatworm-like creature that was almost certainly not intelligent in any meaningful sense. The intelligence of the octopus and the intelligence of vertebrates, including humans, therefore evolved along largely independent paths from the same ancestral starting point of non-intelligence, through completely different anatomical and neurological solutions. What makes the octopus remarkable is not just that it is intelligent, it is that its intelligence demonstrates that sophisticated cognition can be built in a radically different architectural style, distributed rather than centralized, using different neural components, organized according to different principles, and yet arriving at behavioral outcomes, problem-solving, learning, flexibility, apparent awareness, that are recognizably similar to what we observe in cognitively sophisticated vertebrates. The question of whether octopuses are conscious, whether there is something it is like to be an octopus, is one that current science cannot definitively answer, but several lines of evidence suggest it should not be dismissed. Octopuses show behaviors consistent with pain experience. They avoid and respond to noxious stimuli, learn to avoid contexts associated with harm, show extended behavioral changes after injury or irritation, and protect affected body parts. Experiments using conditioned place preference have found that octopuses avoid a place associated with a painful stimulus and prefer a place associated with pain relief, which is a stronger measure than a simple reflex. This evidence has influenced animal welfare policy. Cephalopods receive special protection in European Union research rules. The United Kingdom has recognized cephalopod mollusks in its animal sentience framework, and several national or institutional systems treat them as animals requiring welfare oversight in research. That does not prove human-like consciousness, but it does show that science and ethics increasingly take octopus experience seriously. The ecology of octopuses is intimately connected to the rocky subtidal and intertidal habitats where many species live. Octopuses are generalist predators that play an important role in marine food webs, consuming a wide variety of prey and in turn being preyed upon by fish, seals, dolphins, moray eels, and other marine animals. The den-building behavior of many species, selecting, excavating, and sometimes actively constructing dens from rocks, shells, and other materials, creates habitat complexity that can benefit other species. The middens that form at the entrances of octopus dens, piles of discarded crab and bivalve shells accumulated over months of feeding, are themselves a form of habitat modification, providing hard substrate and food sources for other organisms. And the rapid turnover of octopus populations, short-lived, fast-growing, highly productive, means that octopuses represent a significant energy pathway in the communities they inhabit. The ability of octopuses to navigate their environments has been studied through a variety of experimental paradigms, and the results reveal a spatial intelligence that is organized differently from vertebrate spatial cognition but achieves comparable outcomes. Octopuses can learn to navigate mazes to reach food rewards, using visual landmarks to guide their path. They show evidence of what might be called local and global orientation, awareness of their position both within a specific familiar environment and in the broader context of the surrounding environment. Field studies have tracked octopus movements using acoustic telemetry and found that individuals maintain home ranges centered on their dens, leave the den at predictable times for foraging, follow regular routes that avoid known predator ambush sites, and return to the same den consistently. The navigation of their home range by an octopus appears to involve a combination of landmark-based memory, procedural route knowledge, and possibly some form of path integration, the ability to track one's own movements to compute a return route to a starting point. The relationship between octopuses and their environment has been documented in several striking field observations that illustrate the flexibility and ingenuity of octopus behavior. The coconut octopus, Amphiooctopus marginatus, collected from Indonesian waters, has been observed carrying around halves of coconut shells, collecting them, transporting them by walking awkwardly on the tips of its arms while holding the shells against its body, and then assembling them into portable shelters that it hides inside. This behavior, described in a 2009 paper in Current Biology by Mark Norman and colleagues, was interpreted as an example of tool use, the collection and transport of objects not for immediate use, but for anticipated future use, a cognitive category previously associated only with vertebrates, and specifically with primates, corvids, and a small number of other species. Whether coconut shell collection truly meets the strict criteria for tool use or represents a different form of object manipulation is debated among behavioral scientists, but the behavior itself is undeniably unusual and remarkable. The deep-sea octopuses represent a largely unexplored frontier of cephalopod biology. Many of the world's approximately 300 octopus species live in deep water where they have rarely been observed alive, and their biology is known primarily from specimens collected in trawls or from brief, remotely operated vehicle observations. The Dumbo octopuses, named for the ear-like fins they use for swimming, live in some of the deepest ocean environments occupied by any octopus species, with some species documented at depths exceeding 7 kilometers, deeper than the majority of the ocean floor. The glass octopus, Vitriletinella richardi, is a remarkable deep-sea species that is almost entirely transparent, with only its optic lobes, eyes, and digestive tract being visible, an extreme camouflage strategy adapted to the open-water, deep pelagic environment where there is no substrate to hide against, and the only camouflage option is transparency. The octopus's relationship with time is one of the stranger aspects of its biology, given its short lifespan and its apparent cognitive sophistication. The developmental trajectory of an octopus is extraordinarily compressed, hatching from an egg smaller than a grain of rice, developing through a brief planktonic larval phase, settling on the seafloor as a juvenile the size of a fingernail, and reaching sexual maturity within weeks to months depending on species and temperature. For many shallow water species, the entire lifespan, from egg to reproducing adult to death, may occupy around a year or two, while larger and colder water species can live longer. Within this compressed lifespan, the octopus develops its full suite of cognitive abilities, establishes a home range, learns the details of its local environment, develops individual behavioral tendencies that can persist across the weeks and months of its adult life, and in the case of the female, dedicates the final weeks or months to the brooding of eggs it will never see hatch. The coexistence of a complex cognitive life with such a brief temporal existence is one of the more philosophically interesting aspects of the octopus, a mind of considerable depth and sophistication, operating in a body that will not survive the year. Octopuses have been kept in aquariums for over a century, and the accumulated observations of aquarium keepers represent one of the richest sources of behavioral data on the species. The observations of aquarium staff have documented individual personality differences between octopuses of the same species, some bold, some shy, some aggressive, some curious, some indifferent to human observers. Individual octopuses have been documented developing specific preferences for particular keepers, distinguishing between regular caretakers and strangers, and showing consistent behavioral patterns, specific hiding preferences, specific approaches to novel food items, specific tendencies to explore or to avoid that persist throughout their residence. The individuality of octopus personality has been documented systematically through research by Jennifer Mather and Roland Anderson in the 1990s, who quantified behavioral dimensions including activity level, reactivity to disturbance, and approach to novel stimuli in individual giant Pacific octopuses, and found consistent individual differences that met the criteria for personality in the behavioral biology sense. The sensory world of an octopus, perceived primarily through its chemotactile arms, its acute eyes, and its distributed mechanosensory system, is fundamentally different from the sensory world of any vertebrate. An octopus reaching into a crevice to investigate a potential prey item is simultaneously feeling the temperature and texture of the surfaces it suckers contact, tasting the chemical composition of the water in the crevice, detecting vibrations transmitted through the substrate, and seeing the scene from a different angle with its highly mobile eyes. The integration of these multiple sensory channels, processed partly in the distributed nervous system of the arm itself and partly in the central brain, produces a representation of the world that is simultaneously richer and more limited than human perception in different dimensions, richer in its chemical and tactile detail, more limited in its color discrimination, and organized around a body plan that perceives the world from 8 simultaneous contact points rather than from the fixed frontal perspective of a face. The cuttlefish, a close relative of the octopus, has been used in studies of cephalopod cognition that complement what is known about octopus intelligence and provides additional context for understanding the evolution of cephalopod minds. Cuttlefish have demonstrated the capacity to delay gratification, choosing a less preferred food item now in order to obtain a more preferred item later, a cognitive capability that requires maintaining a representation of a future state and inhibiting an immediate impulse in favor of a better future outcome. This delay of gratification capacity, measured in a cuttlefish version of the classic marshmallow test, was found in a 2021 paper to correlate with learning speed in other tasks. Individual cuttlefish that showed greater delay of gratification also learned a visual discrimination task more quickly, suggesting that self-control capacity reflects general cognitive ability in cephalopods as it does in some vertebrates. The evolutionary question of why intelligence evolved in cephalopods and why it evolved to such a high degree in the octopus specifically is not fully answered, but several contributing factors have been proposed. The loss of the protective shell, as mentioned earlier, may have been a primary driver, exposing the naked body of the early octopus to predation pressure that favored rapid learning, behavioral flexibility, and sophisticated predatory strategies. The highly variable, complex, three-dimensional environment of rocky shallow water habitats, which most octopus species inhabit, may have placed a premium on flexible problem-solving and environmental navigation. The diversity of prey available in these environments, each requiring different capture strategies, may have favored generalist cognitive abilities over narrow specializations. And the arms race dynamic between octopuses and their highly intelligent prey, crabs and fish that learn to avoid individual octopus hunters, may have favored the evolution of ever more sophisticated hunting strategies and the ability to shift tactics when a familiar approach stops working. The body of an octopus is organized around a principle that is deeply unfamiliar to vertebrate intuition. Human bodies are built around a hard internal skeleton. The skeleton provides leverage, protection, and a stable arrangement of parts. An octopus body is built almost entirely from soft tissue, with the beak as the only truly hard structure. Its arms are muscular hydrostats, structures that move by arranging muscle fibers around incompressible fluid and tissue, rather than by pulling bones across joints. The same broad mechanical principle is found in elephant trunks and human tongues, but octopus arms take this design to an extreme. They can bend anywhere, twist in any direction, elongate, shorten, stiffen, soften, curl, uncurl, and wrap around objects with a degree of freedom that no jointed limb can match. This creates a control problem that would be overwhelming if the central brain had to manage every detail directly. A human arm has a shoulder, an elbow, a wrist, and fingers. The movement options are complex, but they are constrained by joints. An octopus arm has almost infinite possible shapes. To control such a limb from a central command center alone would require a continuous flood of calculation. The octopus solves this by distributing control. The brain does not have to specify every bend and every sucker. It can issue a broader behavioral goal, while the local nervous system of the arm handles the details of reaching, grasping, tasting, and adjusting to the object or surface it encounters. This distributed control gives octopus behavior a peculiar quality. Sometimes the arms seem to explore the world almost as if they're curious on their own. One arm may investigate a rock while another holds the animal in place. Another probes a crevice, another adjusts the body posture, and another curls protectively beneath the head. To a human observer, this can look like several smaller intentions moving inside one larger intention. The octopus is not literally 8 animals attached to one head, but neither is it a simple, centralized creature with passive limbs. It occupies a middle ground that is neurologically unusual. One animal, many semi-autonomous points of contact with the world. The suckers are essential to this sensory life. Each sucker is a small muscular organ with its own rim, cavity, pressure control, and dense sensory surface. The octopus does not merely hold with them. It reads the world through them. A sucker can detect the shape of a surface, the roughness of a shell, the chemical traces left by prey, and the subtle differences between living tissue, stone, sand, algae, and food. This means an octopus arm reaching into a dark crevice is not blind in the way a human hand would be. The arm can gather chemical and tactile information directly, without requiring the eye to see what the arm is touching. The result is an animal whose world is built partly through vision and partly through contact chemistry. Humans often think of intelligence as something that happens behind the eyes. Octopus intelligence is partly behind the eyes, partly in the arms, partly in the suckers, and partly in the constant conversation between these systems. It is a mind that touches as it thinks. The absence of bones also gives the octopus its famous ability to pass through astonishingly small openings. The limiting structure is usually the beak. If the beak can fit through a gap, much of the rest of the animal can follow, because the soft tissues can deform and compress. Aquarium keepers have long known that octopuses are escape artists. They push through lids, explore plumbing, slip through small openings, and sometimes leave one tank to reach another. These stories have become legendary, but they are not magical. They arise from a combination of flexible anatomy, strong arms, persistent exploration, and an animal willing to manipulate the boundaries of its environment until a solution appears. This persistence is part of what makes octopuses so compelling to researchers. They do not simply react to a problem once and stop. They test. They pull, push, taste, twist, explore, abandon, return, and try again. Their problem-solving often looks less like obedience to training and more like investigation. A puzzle box, a jar, a crab trap, or a new object in a tank becomes something to be examined from multiple angles. The animal learns not only whether an action works, but what sort of object it is dealing with. Individual octopuses differ strongly in how they approach these situations. Some are bold and immediately investigate new objects. Others remain hidden and observe for long periods before approaching. Some interact readily with human caretakers. Others are avoidant or aggressive. Some repeatedly squirt water at lights, cameras, or specific people. These individual differences are not just anecdotes. Behavioral studies have found consistent differences in activity, boldness, reactivity, and exploration among individual octopuses, suggesting personality-like patterns in the behavioral biology sense. For an animal that lives such a short life, this individuality is especially striking. A brief life can still contain a distinct temperament. The skin of an octopus may be the most visually dramatic organ system in the animal kingdom. Each chromatophore is a tiny elastic sac of pigment surrounded by radial muscles. When those muscles contract, the sac expands like a colored disc, revealing pigment to the outside. When the muscles relax, the sac shrinks and the color disappears. Because these muscles are controlled neurally, and because chromatophores can be activated in complex spatial patterns, an octopus can draw and erase patterns across its body with remarkable speed. Dark spots can flash across the skin. Pale fields can brighten. Mottled patterns can appear and dissolve. A smooth surface can become a rough surface as papillae rise from the skin. The skin is therefore not only camouflage. It is a screen, a signaling surface, a defensive tool, and perhaps a window into internal neural activity. In a resting octopus, color changes may be slow and subtle. In an alarmed octopus, they can be sudden and dramatic. During hunting, patterns may shift in ways that break up the body outline. During threat displays, the animal may become high contrast, dark around the eyes, pale across the body, or boldly patterned in ways that make it look larger, stranger, or less edible. The most remarkable thing is that this display system operates in an animal that appears to lack color vision in the familiar sense. Octopus eyes generally have one main visual pigment, rather than the multiple cone types that allow humans to compare wavelengths and perceive color. Yet octopuses match backgrounds in ways that seem color-sensitive. This puzzle has led to several hypotheses. One possibility is that octopuses rely more on brightness, contrast, texture, and spatial pattern than on true color matching. Another is that their unusual pupils and optical systems may allow them to extract some wavelength information through chromatic aberration. Another is that light-sensitive molecules in the skin might contribute to local responses, though not necessarily to conscious color perception. The full answer remains unsettled, and that uncertainty is part of the wonder. The octopus may be doing something visually effective through mechanisms unlike ours. Octopus skin also contains opsins and other light-responsive molecules, which suggests that the skin itself can respond to light in limited ways. This does not mean the skin sees images. It does not mean each arm contains an eye, but it does mean that the boundary between seeing and bodily response is more distributed than it is in humans. Experiments have shown that cephalopod skin can respond to light even outside the eye, and researchers continue to investigate how this peripheral light sensitivity interacts with the central visual system. A body that can sense light through its surface, taste through its suckers, and transform its appearance through millions of tiny skin organs is a body whose relationship with the environment is unusually intimate. The eyes themselves are marvels of convergent evolution. Human eyes and octopus eyes both use lenses to focus images, both regulate incoming light, and both form detailed visual representations. But the evolutionary paths that produced them were separate. This is one of the clearest demonstrations that natural selection, when faced with the same physical problem, can sometimes arrive at similar solutions independently. Light travels according to the same optical laws for mollusks and mammals. A lens is a good solution to focusing an image in water or air. A retina is a good solution to detecting that image. The similarities are therefore not inheritance from a shared complex-eyed ancestor, but convergence under the constraints of physics. The differences are just as revealing. The octopus retina is arranged so that the photoreceptive cells face incoming light directly, avoiding the blind spot created by the vertebrate arrangement, where nerve fibers pass in front of the photoreceptors and exit through the optic disc. This is often described as a better design, though evolution does not design in the engineering sense. It modifies what already exists. Vertebrate eyes and octopus eyes each carry the history of their developmental origins. The octopus eye shows that another path was possible. Vision is central to octopus hunting. An octopus emerging from its den does not simply wander randomly. It surveys. It pauses. It changes color. It sends arms into holes and under rocks while the eyes monitor the wider scene. It may approach a crab slowly, then suddenly spread the web between its arms like a net. It may pounce over a patch of seabed and trap prey beneath its body. It may drill into the shell of a mollusk with its radula and salivary secretions, weakening the prey before feeding. Different prey require different strategies, and octopuses are generalists. A generalist predator in a complex environment benefits from flexible intelligence because every meal is a small problem. This ecological setting may explain why octopus cognition evolved without a social life like that of primates, elephants, dolphins, or crows. Many intelligent vertebrates are social. Their cognition is shaped by alliances, competition, communication, deception, hierarchy, parenting, and learning from others. Octopuses are largely solitary. They do not grow up in families. They do not learn from parents. They do not live in stable groups. Most hatch and enter the world alone, already needing to survive. Their intelligence seems to have been shaped less by society and more by the demands of a dangerous, complex, physically variable world. Find food, avoid predators, hide, solve mechanical problems, remember places, and improvise. This makes octopus intelligence especially valuable scientifically. It gives researchers a second example of complex cognition, one not built on the same social and anatomical foundations as ours. It asks which features of intelligence are general and which are tied to a particular body plan. Is problem-solving always linked to manipulation? Is curiosity a common product of flexible cognition? Does a short-lived animal think differently from a long-lived one? How much centralization does a mind need? The octopus cannot answer these questions in human language, but its behavior forces the questions to exist. The famous jar opening experiments are often simplified in popular accounts, but their importance is real. A jar is not a natural object in an octopus's evolutionary history. It has a lid, a thread, resistance, and a hidden reward. To open it, the animal must coordinate suckers and arms, hold the container, apply twisting force, and persist long enough to discover the correct movement. This does not mean the octopus understands the jar as a human understands it. It does not need to. The point is that it can explore an unfamiliar mechanical problem and produce a solution through flexible manipulation. That alone is remarkable for an invertebrate. Octopuses also show learning that depends on context. They can learn that one shape or color is associated with food and another is not. They can reverse these associations when the rule changes. They can remember which den is safe, which route leads to prey, and which object in their tank has previously produced a reward. In laboratory tasks, some individuals learn quickly. Others are slower or less cooperative, which itself makes experiments challenging. Unlike many laboratory animals, octopuses are not always eager participants. They may refuse a task, dismantle the apparatus, hide, or find a way to obtain the reward without following the experimental design. This can frustrate researchers, but it also reveals the animal's behavioral flexibility. The question of play is delicate because scientists are careful not to project human motives onto animal behavior. Play is difficult to define even in mammals. It usually involves voluntary, repeated behavior that is not immediately necessary for survival, often occurring in relaxed conditions and modified from serious behaviors like hunting or fighting. Some octopus behaviors fit parts of this description: repeated manipulation of floating objects, pushing items into currents and retrieving them, exploring toys or unfamiliar objects without clear feeding motivation. Whether all such behavior should be called play remains debated. But the possibility matters, because play is often associated with flexible nervous systems, curiosity, and the exploration of possibilities beyond immediate survival. Octopus sleep adds another layer to this question of inner life. For a long time, sleep was studied mainly in mammals and birds, then in reptiles, fish, insects, and other animals. Octopuses complicate the picture because they are so distantly related to vertebrates. Studies have now documented at least 2 sleep-like states in octopuses: a quiet state, with pale skin and reduced movement, and an active state, with twitching, rapid skin pattern changes, and altered responsiveness. The active periods are brief, often less than a minute, and recur cyclically. They resemble REM sleep in some ways, but it would be too strong to say they are exactly REM sleep. REM is a vertebrate category with specific brainstem mechanisms. Octopus active sleep may be an independently evolved analog, not the same structure, but perhaps a similar solution. The dream question is even more cautious. When a sleeping octopus flashes patterns across its skin, it is tempting to imagine it replaying a hunt, a camouflage display, or an encounter with a predator. Some active sleep sequences do resemble waking skin patterns, but resemblance is not proof of dreaming. We do not yet know whether octopuses have subjective dream experiences or whether these skin patterns are motor fragments generated during sleep without any inner imagery. The scientifically honest statement is that octopuses show active sleep with wake-like skin patterning, and this raises the possibility of dream-like processing. That possibility is extraordinary enough without overstating it. If octopuses do dream, even briefly, the dreams would not be like ours in content. A human dream is often visual and narrative, filled with faces, places, language, and social meaning. An octopus, if it has anything like dreaming, may dream through patterns of touch, chemical traces, arm positions, textures, water movement, prey shapes, shadows, and the body-wide logic of camouflage. Its dream, if dream is the right word, would arise from a nervous system distributed through arms and skin. It would be a dream from another branch of animal evolution. The genome of the octopus deepens this sense of evolutionary otherness. When the octopus genome was sequenced, researchers found a genome comparable in size to the human genome, with a striking expansion of gene families involved in neural development, especially protocatarins. In vertebrates, protocatarins help individual neurons recognize and connect with specific partners, supporting the construction of complex nervous systems. Their expansion in octopuses suggests that cephalopods may have used some similar molecular tools to build neural complexity, but in an independently evolved way. Evolution did not copy a vertebrate brain into a mollusk. It expanded and repurposed available molecular systems to build a different kind of neural architecture. Even more surprising is the extent of our DNA editing in coleoid cephalopods, the group that includes octopuses, squid, and cuttlefish. In most animals, DNA provides the long-term genetic instructions, and our RNA transcripts carry those instructions toward protein production. Our RNA editing can modify those transcripts after they are copied from DNA, changing the resulting proteins. In humans and many other animals, protein recoding or RNA editing exists but is relatively limited. In octopuses and their close relatives, it is unusually extensive, especially in nervous system tissues and in genes related to neural excitability. This suggests that cephalopods may fine-tune neural proteins through our RNA editing in ways that allow physiological flexibility without changing the underlying DNA sequence. This does not mean octopuses rewrite their genes at will, as some sensational accounts imply. Our RNA editing is not conscious editing, and it is not magical genetic self-transformation. It is a biochemical regulatory process, but its scale in cephalopods is genuinely unusual, and it may help explain how these animals maintain complex neural function across varied temperatures and environments. It is another example of cephalopods doing something familiar in principle but extreme in degree. The blue-ringed octopus illustrates a different side of octopus biology, beauty and danger in a tiny body. These small Indo-Pacific octopuses are usually modestly colored, often blending with the surrounding rocks or tide pools. But when threatened, they display vivid electric blue rings that pulse against the skin. The display is not decorative. It is warning coloration. The venom contains tetrodotoxin, a powerful neurotoxin associated with symbiotic bacteria, in the salivary system. Tetrodotoxin blocks voltage-gated sodium channels, preventing nerves from firing properly, which can lead to paralysis. Human fatalities are rare, but bites can be life-threatening because paralysis of the respiratory muscles can occur while the person remains conscious. Survival depends on supportive care, especially artificial ventilation, until the toxin's effects wear off. Most octopuses are not dangerous to humans in that way. Their venom is mainly for prey. It helps subdue crabs, shrimp, clams, and fish, and it begins digestion. The beak, hidden at the center of the arms, can bite through tough prey and deliver saliva into the wound. The radula, a rasping tongue-like structure common to many mollusks, helps process food. Some octopuses drill holes into shells, using mechanical scraping and chemical secretions to weaken the shell and reach the soft body inside. A small, neat hole in a shell can sometimes be the signature of an octopus meal. Ink is another defense that is often misunderstood. It is not merely black smoke in water. It can obscure vision, confuse chemosensory tracking, and sometimes form a dark blob that resembles the shape of the octopus, drawing the predator's attention while the real animal changes direction. The chemistry of ink includes melanin and compounds that can interfere with the sensory systems of predators. Inking is costly because the supply must be replenished, so octopuses do not use it casually. It is part of a layered defense system. Hide first, camouflage constantly, flee if necessary, ink if pursuit becomes dangerous, and use the body itself as a moving illusion. The mimic octopus takes illusion further than almost any other known animal. Living in open sandy habitats where hiding places may be scarce, it can arrange its arms and body to resemble other animals, including flatfish, lionfish, and sea snakes. The key is not only appearance, but movement. A flatfish imitation requires flattened posture and gliding motion. A sea snake imitation requires arms arranged like narrow-banded bodies emerging from a hole. A lionfish imitation requires spreading arms in a way that recalls venomous fins. Researchers have interpreted this as dynamic mimicry, not just looking like something else, but behaving like it. It is important not to turn the mimic octopus into a cartoon genius consciously choosing costumes in a human sense. The behavior is likely built from evolved patterns, perceptual triggers, and learning. But even with that caution, it remains astonishing. The animal appears able to deploy different displays in different contexts, and that suggests a level of behavioral selection beyond simple camouflage. It is an animal that does not merely disappear into the background. Sometimes it becomes another creature. The coconut octopus, also called the veined octopus, offers one of the most discussed examples of possible tool use in an invertebrate. In soft sediments where permanent shelters are limited, individuals have been observed carrying coconut shell halves or bivalve shells, transporting them awkwardly beneath the body, and later assembling them as a protective shelter. The awkwardness matters. Carrying shells makes the octopus more visible and less efficient in movement. The shell is not helping at the moment it is being transported. Its value lies in future use. That delayed benefit is why researchers interpreted the behavior as defensive tool use. Whether one uses the strictest possible definition of tool use or a broader one, the behavior shows planning like object use that is rare among invertebrates. Octopus reproduction is one of the most poignant aspects of their biology. The animals are simmelporous, meaning they reproduce once and then die. Males often decline and die after mating. Females lay eggs, attach them to the walls or ceilings of a den, and guard them with extraordinary dedication. They clean the eggs, ventilate them with water currents, protect them from predators, and often stop eating entirely. In many species, the female dies shortly after the eggs hatch. This life history is very different from the long parental learning systems of mammals or birds. The mother invests everything in the eggs, but she does not teach the young. The young emerge into the world without parental guidance. The deep-sea brooding record of Granulidone boreopacifica is one of the most extreme examples of maternal investment known. A female was observed guarding eggs for more than 4 years in the deep ocean, a duration longer than the entire lifespan of many shallow water octopuses. In the cold, deep sea, development is slow, and embryos can take years to mature. The mother remained with them, deteriorating over time, until the eggs hatched. There is something almost austere in this strategy. No feeding, no wandering, no second chance, only vigilance in the dark. The short lifespan of most octopuses creates a strange contrast with their intelligence. Many species live only 1 or 2 years. Giant Pacific octopuses may live several years, but even that is short compared with many intelligent vertebrates. A crow can learn for decades. A dolphin can live socially for many years. An elephant can carry memory across generations. An octopus must become competent quickly. It hatches, grows, learns, hunts, avoids being eaten, matures, reproduces, and dies in a compressed window of time. Its intelligence is therefore not built around long cultural transmission. It is fast, individual, embodied, and urgent. This may explain why octopus curiosity feels so intense. The animal has no years to waste. A new object might be food, shelter, threat, or irrelevant debris. A new surface might hide prey. A new container might be opened. A new route might lead back to the den. Exploration is not a hobby. It is survival. But because the animal explores with such flexible manipulation, it can look to us like curiosity in a richer sense. The world being questioned by 8 arms at once. Octopus dens are important centers of life. Many species maintain a home den, sometimes modifying it by moving rocks, shells, and debris. Around the entrance, the discarded remains of meals accumulate into middens, piles of crab shells, clam shells, and other hard parts. These middens tell researchers what the octopus has been eating. They also alter the local habitat, creating small structures used by other organisms. The den is refuge, feeding station, defensive position, and geographical anchor. From it, the octopus makes foraging trips and returns, often following familiar routes through the seafloor. Navigation in octopuses is not as well understood as navigation in birds, mammals, or insects, but field and laboratory observations show that they can learn spatial layouts and use visual landmarks. An octopus in a maze does not necessarily navigate as a rat would. Its body and senses are different, and its movement is different, but it can still learn routes. It can associate visual cues with paths. It can return to a den after foraging. It can adjust to barriers and changes in the environment. Spatial intelligence, like vision and problem-solving, has more than one possible form. The deep sea contains octopuses that are stranger still. Dumbo octopuses, with fins that resemble ears, move through cold, deep water with a gentle, hovering motion. Some species live thousands of meters below the surface, where sunlight never reaches and pressure is immense. The glass octopus is almost transparent, an adaptation to open water environments where a shadow or silhouette can reveal an animal to predators. In such habitats, camouflage cannot mean matching rocks or coral. It may mean becoming almost invisible by allowing light to pass through the body. The diversity of octopus forms shows that the body plan can be modified for reefs, tide pools, open water, and abyssal darkness. Octopuses also challenge how humans think about welfare and sentience. For a long time, invertebrates were often treated as simple animals with reflexes, but without rich, subjective experience. Cephalopods have made that assumption difficult to maintain. They learn quickly. They avoid harmful situations. They show long-term behavioral changes after injury. Experiments in conditioned place preference suggest that octopuses not only respond to noxious stimuli, but may experience a negative state relieved by analgesic treatment. This does not prove that octopus pain is identical to human pain, but it strongly supports caution. Several legal and research frameworks now recognize cephalopods as animals requiring special welfare consideration. The ethical question is sharpened by the animal's difference. It is easy for humans to recognize suffering in mammals because mammals have faces, voices, and bodies more like ours. Octopuses are harder to read. Their expressions are written in skin patterns, posture, withdrawal, color, and movement. They do not cry out. They do not make mammalian faces. But if the nervous system is complex enough to learn harm, avoid it, protect an injured part, and seek relief, then difference of appearance is not a good reason to ignore the possibility of experience. The philosopher Thomas Nagel once asked what it is like to be a bat, arguing that consciousness has a subjective character that cannot be fully captured from the outside. The octopus deepens that problem. What is it like to be a creature whose arms taste, whose skin changes with neural activity, whose body has no fixed form, whose brain is partly distributed, whose world is chemical and tactile in ways ours is not? We can study behavior, neurons, molecules, and evolution. We can build models. We can measure responses. But the inner texture of octopus life remains beyond direct access. That mystery is not a failure of science. It is part of what makes the science profound. Octopuses have also become inspirations for engineering and robotics. Soft robots based on octopus arms do not need rigid joints. They can bend around objects, squeeze through tight spaces, and grip delicate surfaces without crushing them. Engineers study sucker mechanics to design adaptable grippers. They study camouflage systems to imagine materials that change color or texture. They study distributed control to build robots that do not require every movement to be commanded from a central processor. In this way, the octopus is not only an object of biological curiosity. It is a design library written by evolution. But the octopus is not a machine, and treating it only as a design inspiration would miss the deeper point. It is a living animal shaped by ancient pressures, predators, prey, reefs, tides, darkness, hunger, reproduction, and danger. Its intelligence is not abstract. It is not intelligence sitting apart from the body. It is inseparable from soft arms, sensitive suckers, changing skin, and a life spent exploring the edges of rocks and holes. To understand an octopus mind, one must understand the octopus body. The mind is not floating above the animal. It is distributed through the animal's way of being in the sea. The evolutionary distance between humans and octopuses is vast. Our last common ancestor was likely a small, simple, worm-like animal that lived hundreds of millions of years ago, with nothing like human intelligence and nothing like octopus intelligence. From that modest beginning, one lineage eventually produced vertebrates with spinal cords, skeletons, jaws, limbs, mammals, primates, and human brains. Another lineage produced mollusks, shells, cephalopods, tentacles, chromatophores, distributed nervous systems, and octopus minds. The two paths separated before either intelligence existed. That means intelligence appeared independently at least twice in forms complex enough to make us recognize something like flexible thought. This is why octopuses feel almost alien. Not because they are from somewhere else, but because they are from here in a way that reveals how much of Earth is still unfamiliar. They are not aliens. They are fellow Earthlings. But they represent an alternate experiment in building a mind. A forest, a dog, a human body, a black hole, and an octopus each teach a different lesson about nature. The octopus teaches that life does not have to resemble us to become complicated, perceptive, and inventive. It teaches that a mind can be soft. A mind can be distributed. A mind can be brief. A mind can change color. A mind can solve problems with arms that taste the world. And perhaps that is the quietest wonder of the octopus. Not that it is bizarre, but that its strangeness works. The 8 arms coordinate. The skin writes patterns. The eye watches. The suckers sample. The den is remembered. The crab is opened. The predator is misled. The eggs are guarded. The short life completes itself. For hundreds of millions of years, this way of being alive has been sufficient. The ocean still contains these soft, thinking shadows moving over rocks at dusk. They emerge from dens, shift their colors to match the broken light, taste the current with their arms, and make decisions in a form of intelligence that evolved far from ours, and yet is close enough to be recognized. The octopus does not need to be human-like to be remarkable. It is remarkable because it is not. One reason octopuses are so difficult to compare with familiar intelligent animals is that their bodies make different kinds of action easy. A monkey can grasp branches and tools with fingers. A crow can use a beak and feet. A dolphin manipulates the world mostly with its mouth and body because it has no hands. An octopus has 8 arms that can reach in different directions at once, each one flexible enough to wrap around an object from almost any angle. This changes the kinds of problems the animal can solve. It can open a shell not by inventing a tool, but by becoming a living tool around the shell, pulling, drilling, tasting, gripping, and adjusting pressure through many contact points simultaneously. The web between the arms also matters. In many octopuses, the arms are connected near the base by a flexible membrane. When the animal pounces on prey, it can spread the arms and web over a patch of seafloor like a living parachute or net, trapping small fish, crabs, or shrimp beneath it. This behavior, sometimes called web overhunting, turns the body into a temporary enclosure. The octopus then explores beneath the web with its suckers, locating prey by touch and chemistry. The hunting strategy is not simply speed. It is enclosure, contact, and patient search. Some octopuses use a technique known as speculative hunting, in which they insert arms into crevices without necessarily seeing prey first. A reef is full of holes, cracks, and hidden spaces. Vision may show only the entrance. The arm enters where the eye cannot go. The suckers taste and feel inside the darkness. If prey is present, the arm can grasp it. If not, the octopus moves on. This kind of hunting makes the distributed nervous system especially useful. The arm is both sensor and actor, investigating a hidden world beyond sight. The beak of an octopus is made of chitin and proteins, and it is shaped like a parrot's beak, with upper and lower parts that meet in a sharp bite. Because the beak is the only hard part, its size determines the minimum opening through which the animal can pass. The rest of the body can compress, stretch, and flow. This gives octopuses access to shelters and prey spaces unavailable to rigid-bodied animals of similar mass. It also makes them difficult to contain. Any aquarium holding an octopus must be designed with the understanding that gaps, lids, valves, and pipes are not merely background architecture. They are possible problems to be solved. Octopuses breathe by drawing water into the mantle cavity and passing it over the gills, where oxygen is absorbed and carbon dioxide released. The same mantle cavity is involved in jet propulsion. This means breathing and movement are mechanically linked in a way they are not in mammals. To jet away rapidly, the octopus expels water through the siphon with force. The siphon can be aimed, allowing the animal to steer. But jetting is metabolically expensive, and octopuses generally rely on crawling or slower swimming unless escape is urgent. Their bodies are built for stealth, flexibility, and sudden bursts rather than long-distance endurance. Their blood is blue because it uses hemocyanin, a copper-containing oxygen transport molecule, rather than hemoglobin, the iron-containing molecule that makes vertebrate blood red. Hemocyanin is less efficient than hemoglobin under some conditions, but it works well in cold, low-oxygen marine environments. Octopuses have 3 hearts, 2 branchial hearts that pump blood through the gills, and 1 systemic heart that pumps oxygenated blood through the rest of the body. When an octopus swims, the systemic heart can slow or pause, which may be one reason sustained swimming is tiring for them compared with crawling. Even the circulation of an octopus is arranged around a life spent close to surfaces, moving carefully through complex terrain. The skin patterns of octopuses are not only for hiding from predators. They can also be involved in communication, especially during the limited social interactions that do occur. Many octopuses are solitary, but solitary does not mean completely without signals. When 2 octopuses encounter each other, they may display dark coloration, raised posture, extended arms, or specific patterns that communicate threat, readiness, or submission. In some species and contexts, males display to females or rivals. Because octopus social life is limited, these signals do not form the rich long-term communication systems seen in social mammals or birds, but they show that the skin is also a social surface when social encounters happen. Cuttlefish, close relatives of octopuses, have especially elaborate signaling displays, including moving waves of color across the body and, in some cases, split displays in which one side of the body shows one pattern to a rival male while the other side shows a different pattern to a female. Octopuses are generally less socially visual than cuttlefish, but the comparison helps reveal the power of cephalopod skin as a communication system. It is not just camouflage, it is a living display technology. The nautilus, another cephalopod, shows how unusual octopuses are even within their own class. Nautiluses retain an external shell and have many tentacles, but they have simpler eyes without lenses and much smaller nervous systems. They are living reminders of an older cephalopod design, protected by a shell, less behaviorally flexible, and adapted to a different ecological niche. The octopus took a different route: shell lost, body softened, behavior intensified. Comparing a nautilus with an octopus is like comparing 2 answers to the same ancient problem of survival in the sea. Because octopus bodies fossilize poorly, their evolutionary history is difficult to reconstruct. Soft tissue usually decays before fossilization, and shells preserve far more easily than muscles, nerves, and skin. This means the fossil record of octopuses is much less complete than that of shelled cephalopods. Some fossil octopuses preserve impressions of arms and soft tissues under exceptional conditions, but they are rare, and the record can change when old specimens are re-examined with new technology. A famous Carboniferous fossil once treated as one of the oldest octopus-like fossils, Pulsipia mazanensis, was reinterpreted in 2026 as a decomposed nautiloid rather than an early octopus. That correction is important because it makes the octopus fossil record more cautious, not less interesting. Much of what scientists infer about octopus evolution comes from molecular data, comparative anatomy, and the fossil record of related cephalopods. The animal itself seems almost designed to vanish after death, leaving fewer traces than its importance deserves. The short life and soft body of the octopus make its existence feel temporary in another way. A giant tree can stand for centuries. A coral reef can build through generations. A whale can live longer than a human. An octopus may live only a year or 2, and after death its body leaves little behind. Yet during that brief time, it expresses one of the most complex forms of invertebrate behavior on Earth. Intelligence here is not linked to permanence. It appears, acts, learns, reproduces, and disappears. Researchers sometimes speak of embodied cognition, the idea that intelligence is not just computation inside a brain, but is shaped by the body, the senses, and the physical possibilities available to the organism. The octopus is one of the strongest examples. Its cognition cannot be separated from its arms, because the arms do so much sensing and local control. It cannot be separated from skin, because the skin is part of perception, defense, and behavior. It cannot be separated from softness, because softness gives access to shelters and forms of movement that define the animal's life. The octopus does not merely have a mind inside a body. Its mind is partly made possible by the body being the way it is. This is also why octopus intelligence can feel difficult to rank. People often ask whether an octopus is as intelligent as a dog, a cat, a crow, or a chimpanzee. But ranking intelligence as a single ladder is misleading. A crow may outperform an octopus in some forms of causal reasoning or social learning. An octopus may outperform many animals in flexible manipulation or rapid camouflage-based response. A dog is deeply tuned to social cues from humans. An octopus is not. A chimpanzee has long-term social politics. An octopus has arms that can explore a sealed container from multiple sides at once. Intelligence is not one number. It is a set of abilities shaped by ecological needs. The octopus, therefore, invites a more generous understanding of cognition. It asks us to stop measuring every mind by how closely it resembles our own. It asks us to notice problem-solving where there is no face like ours, no voice like ours, no childhood like ours, and no social world like ours. It asks us to consider that a mind can be real even when it is difficult to imagine from the inside. In the quiet of a reef at night, an octopus moving over stone is not trying to be strange. It is simply living according to the logic of its body. An arm reaches. A sucker tastes. A patch of skin darkens. The eye turns. The body flattens, then rises, then disappears into the pattern of the rock. A crab shifts in a crevice. The octopus pauses. Something like a decision happens, distributed through nerves, muscles, skin, and memory. That is enough. There is another quiet detail worth holding for a moment. Octopuses are not built for dominance over their environment. They are predators, yes, and skilled ones, but they are also vulnerable. Many fish, sharks, seals, dolphins, moray eels, and larger cephalopods eat them. Their brilliance exists under pressure. Camouflage is not decoration. Problem-solving is not entertainment. Flexibility is not luxury. Every remarkable ability is tied to the old biological demand to survive long enough to reproduce. This makes the octopus both beautiful and unsentimental. It does not live long, and nature does not protect it because it is clever. Intelligence helps, but it does not exempt the animal from predation, injury, hunger, or death after reproduction. In that sense, the octopus is a powerful antidote to the comforting idea that intelligence always leads towards safety or control. Sometimes intelligence is simply one more fragile adaptation, one more way for life to continue for a little while in a dangerous sea. And still, within that fragility, the octopus does extraordinary things. It learns the layout of a tank. It remembers a den. It chooses when to hide and when to hunt. It changes its appearance to match a world of broken light. It carries shelter across the seafloor. It guards eggs in darkness. It sleeps, perhaps dreams, and wakes again to taste the water. There are also rare exceptions to the idea that octopuses are always solitary. In parts of Australia, researchers have documented octopus aggregation sites, sometimes nicknamed Octopus and Octlantis, where multiple gloomy octopuses live in close proximity, interact frequently, display to one another, evict one another from dens, and build shell piles that alter the structure of the seafloor. These sites do not turn octopuses into social mammals. They do not create families, cooperative hunting groups, or lifelong bonds. but they show that octopus social behavior is more flexible than the simplest textbook description suggests. Under particular ecological conditions, enough food, enough den material, and a concentrated suitable habitat, octopuses can tolerate and respond to one another in repeated, structured ways. Those repeated interactions matter because they reveal another layer of cognition. A solitary animal may still need to assess rivals. It may need to decide whether to approach, retreat, display, fight, or steal a den. It may need to remember which neighbor is dangerous and which is avoidant. Even limited social life creates cognitive demands. The octopus is not primarily a social intelligence, but it is not socially empty either. Its world includes other octopuses, and those encounters can be tense, strategic, and visually dramatic. The displays used in these encounters can be subtle or forceful. An octopus may darken the skin around the eyes, raise the body, extend the arms, mantle forward, or produce a passing cloud of pattern across the skin. Because the skin can change so quickly, the animal can shift from apparent invisibility to confrontation in a moment. A hidden animal becomes a visible signal. A mottled rock becomes a dark, watching presence. The transformation itself may be part of the message. The nervous system that controls these displays has to coordinate many layers at once. Chromatophores expand and contract. Iridophores reflect light. Papillae alter texture. Posture changes. The eyes track the other animal or predator. The arms prepare either to anchor the body or to flee. Camouflage and behavior are not separate systems. A display is a whole body event, and in the octopus, the whole body is neurologically alive. The octopus's ability to regenerate arms adds yet another dimension to its bodily life. Losing an arm is a serious injury, but it is not necessarily fatal. Octopuses can regenerate lost arm tissue over time, rebuilding muscle, nerves, suckers, and skin patterning. The regenerated arm may at first be shorter or functionally different, but the capacity itself is remarkable. Regeneration is common in many invertebrates, but in an octopus, it means rebuilding a complex sensory motor structure that contains a large nervous component. The animal's body can restore not merely a limb shape, but a working extension of its distributed nervous system. Regeneration also emphasizes that the octopus body is not a rigid blueprint, but a dynamic living process. Arms grow, heal, change, and sometimes differ in size or condition. Suckers are worn and replaced. Skin patterns shift constantly. The animal is not a fixed sculpture. It is a soft system maintaining itself while moving through an abrasive and dangerous world of rocks, shells, predators, and prey. The beak, by contrast, is hard, dark, and precise. It is the one part of the body that cannot flow through a narrow gap. It is made from materials that transition from stiff at the tip to more flexible near the base, a natural gradient that prevents brittle failure while allowing a sharp biting edge. Engineers study such gradients because human-made materials often separate hard and soft components abruptly, creating weak points. The octopus beak shows how biology can merge hardness and flexibility in a single structure without a simple seam. The suckers have inspired similar engineering attention. A human-made suction cup usually works best on smooth, clean surfaces. Octopus suckers can grip irregular, wet, curved, living, and moving surfaces. They seal, deform, adjust pressure, and release quickly. They can hold without crushing. They can explore and adhere at the same time. Soft robotics researchers study this because machines that can safely grip delicate objects, fruit, tissue, underwater equipment, medical devices, need something closer to octopus logic than to metal claws. There is also a remarkable self-recognition problem built into the arms. If octopus suckers are so eager to grasp, why does an octopus not constantly tie itself into knots by sticking to its own skin? Research suggests that chemicals in octopus skin inhibit the sucker's attachment response, allowing the arms to avoid attaching strongly to the animal's own body. This is a beautiful example of the body solving a control problem chemically. The nervous system does not need to calculate every self-contact as self. The skin itself carries a signal that says, in effect, not this. Even this detail has philosophical weight. A human sense of self is psychological, autobiographical, and social. An octopus self must also be chemical and tactile. The arms need to know, locally and immediately, which surfaces are world and which surfaces are body. Selfhood, at the level of action, begins with not grabbing yourself. The octopus's relationship with predators is a constant force shaping its behavior. Moray eels can follow it into crevices. Sharks can detect movement. Fish can attack exposed arms. Seals and dolphins can overpower larger individuals. To survive, the octopus layers its defenses. It hides in dens. It blocks entrances with stones or shells. It changes color. It freezes. It moves slowly when motion would reveal it. It jets suddenly when concealment fails. It inks. It sacrifices an arm if necessary. Some species cannot totemize or abandon part of an arm, distracting a predator while the animal escapes. Every behavior is part of a survival grammar written by danger. Predation also shapes the timing of activity. Many octopuses are more active at dusk, night, or low light periods, when visual predators may be less effective and prey behavior changes. Night on a reef is not quiet in the human sense. It is a shift change. Day animals hide. Night animals emerge. Chemical trails strengthen. Crustaceans move. Shadows deepen. The octopus enters this altered world with eyes adapted to low light, arms ready for contact, and skin tuned to the fractured patterns of the seafloor. The eggs of octopuses reveal a different kind of patience. In shallow water species, the eggs may hang in strings like pale grains of rice, cleaned and oxygenated by the mother. Inside each egg, a tiny octopus develops with arms, eyes, chromatophores, and the basic machinery of a life it will soon have to conduct alone. In some species, the hatchlings enter a planktonic phase, drifting in the water column as tiny paralarvae, feeding on small prey and facing enormous mortality. In others, especially some deep-sea species, the young hatch more developed, miniature versions of the adult form, ready for benthic life. The reproductive strategy varies, but the outcome is the same. The mother does not stay to teach. This absence of teaching is one reason octopus intelligence feels so different from human intelligence. Human minds are cultural minds. We inherit language, tools, stories, habits, and knowledge from others. An octopus inherits a body, a nervous system, and instincts, then must learn the rest locally and quickly. It has no elder octopus explaining which crab is dangerous or which den is good. Its intelligence is therefore intensely individual. It is a private experiment conducted in one body over one short life. The octopus's short lifespan also means that long-term traditions, if they exist at all, must be limited. A chimpanzee troop can maintain learned behaviors across generations because young individuals observe adults for years. A whale population can transmit songs and migration routes. Crows can learn from parents and social groups. Octopuses mostly cannot build culture in that sense, because their life history does not support it. This is important because it separates intelligence from culture. A mind can be highly flexible without creating civilization, tradition, or inherited knowledge. Intelligence is not always cumulative. Sometimes it burns brightly and privately, then disappears. From the human point of view, this can feel melancholy. A clever octopus learns its keeper, solves its tank, explores its world, and then dies after reproduction. The knowledge it acquired mostly dies with it. But from the evolutionary point of view, the system works. The species does not need each individual to transmit learned wisdom. It needs each individual to survive long enough to reproduce. Evolution cares about continuity of lineage, not preservation of private experience. The study of octopuses also reminds us that animal intelligence research is shaped by the questions humans choose to ask. If we test an octopus on a task designed for a rat, we may underestimate it. If we ask whether it can solve a problem without arms, we misunderstand the animal. If we require it to perform repeatedly in a boring laboratory task, it may simply refuse. Good octopus research must respect the animal's ecology and body. The right question is not, can it think like a mammal? The better question is, what kinds of thinking become possible in this body, in this environment, with these senses and these needs? This shift is happening across animal cognition science more broadly. Researchers increasingly recognize that intelligence is ecological. A bee can navigate and communicate flower locations. A spider can build a web that functions as an external sensory system. A cuttlefish can remember what it ate, where, and when. A crow can bend wire into a hook. An octopus can solve a container problem with 8 tasting arms. These abilities are not the same, and they should not be forced into one hierarchy. They are different answers to different worlds. Octopuses are particularly useful for this broader rethink because they are close enough to be recognizable and far enough to be unsettling. A crab-eating strategy makes sense. A jar opening makes sense. A curious arm makes sense. But the body doing it does not resemble us. The animal seems to alternate between familiarity and alienness. A problem solver with no bones, a face with no expression, a skin that speaks in color, a mind distributed through limbs. In recent years, public fascination with octopuses has grown partly because of documentaries, aquarium stories, and books that present them as other minds. This popularity is good if it leads to care, curiosity, and better welfare. But it also creates a risk of exaggeration. Octopuses are not mystical aliens. They are not secretly human like philosophers in tanks. They are animals with specific evolutionary histories and limits. They can be intelligent without being human. They can be sentient without having human emotions. They can be mysterious without needing myth. The best way to honor the octopus is not to make it more like us, but to let it remain itself. A soft-bodied marine mollusk, a predator, a master of skin, a short-lived learner, a distributed nervous system, a creature of dens, currents, arms, stones, shells, ink, and changing light. When an octopus rests in its den, pale and still, it may look almost like a folded cloth. Then a stimulus passes, a shadow, a scent, a vibration, and the cloth becomes an animal. The arms stir, the eye narrows, the skin darkens, the body rises and flows forward. The transformation is so fluid that it can feel less like watching an animal move and more like watching a thought take physical form. And that may be why octopuses occupy such a lasting place in the imagination. They make thought visible in a strange way. In humans, thinking is mostly hidden behind the face. In octopuses, something of the nervous system seems to appear on the surface. Color shifting, texture rising, arms testing, posture changing. The animal does not tell us what it thinks, but it lets us see that thinking, whatever it is in this body, is inseparable from motion and transformation. The octopus is a lesson in biological possibility. It says that a nervous system does not need a spine to become complex. A body does not need bones to become powerful. A life does not need to be long to contain learning. A mind does not need to look familiar to be worth taking seriously. The more one studies octopuses, the more difficult it becomes to separate the scientific facts from the philosophical pressure they create. A fact can be simple. The animal has hundreds of millions of neurons. But the meaning of that fact is not simple when those neurons are arranged in a body that has no skeleton, no speech, no childhood instruction, no permanent social group, and no mammalian face. A fact can be simple: octopuses learn. But the meaning of learning changes when it happens through arms that taste, eyes that evolved separately from ours, and skin that can transform the animal's visible identity moment by moment. This is why octopuses have become central to discussions of consciousness. Consciousness is difficult to define scientifically, but most serious discussions involve some combination of integrated sensory experience, flexible behavior, memory, pain or pleasure, attention, and the capacity to evaluate the world in ways that are not merely reflexive. Octopuses do not give us direct access to their inner lives, but they show enough of these outward markers to make simple dismissal unreasonable. They are not proof that consciousness is everywhere. They are proof that consciousness, if it exists outside vertebrates in rich form, may look much stranger than humans expected. The distributed body creates a special version of this problem. In humans, we usually imagine consciousness as centered in the head. We know our hands are part of us, but we do not imagine each hand as having its own significant processing system. In the octopus, the arms contain enough neural circuitry to make that image inadequate. Is the octopus's experience centrally unified, like a single subject receiving information from 8 arms? Or is it partly fragmented, with local arm processing contributing to behavior in ways that may not always rise to central awareness? No one knows. The question is difficult because it asks not only what octopuses can do, but how their actions are experienced, if they are experienced at all. Even within human life, much of the body's intelligence operates outside awareness. The spinal cord handles reflexes. The gut regulates itself. The cerebellum coordinates movement without conscious calculation. A musician's fingers move faster than verbal thought. A dancer's body knows patterns the conscious mind could not describe in real time. The octopus may represent an extreme version of this principle. Intelligence distributed into the body until the line between thinking and moving becomes difficult to draw. The fact that octopuses are mollusks also matters. They are related, however distantly, to snails, clams, and slugs. The idea that a lineage containing such animals also produced one of the most flexible invertebrate minds on Earth is one of evolution's great reminders not to underestimate ordinary beginnings. Evolution does not plan toward intelligence. It modifies. A foot becomes arms. A shell disappears. Skin becomes a display surface. A nervous system expands. A predator becomes more flexible because flexibility helps it survive. Over immense time, these modifications accumulate into something that looks astonishing. The loss of the shell is often described as a key event, but it is worth feeling the scale of that trait. A shell is safety. It is armor, shelter, and identity. To lose it is to become exposed. But the octopus gains something in return: access to narrow spaces, rapid shape change, new hunting strategies, and a body capable of becoming almost anything required by the moment. The shell protects by resisting the world. The octopus body survives by yielding to it, flowing through it, and misleading it. That softness is not weakness. It is another kind of power. A rigid animal can push, strike, run, or bite. A soft animal can enter, wrap, seal, squeeze, and vanish. The octopus is strong not because it resists deformation, but because it uses deformation. Its arms do not need elbows because every point can become a bend. Its body does not need armor because it can hide where armored bodies cannot go. Its skin does not need one appearance because it can become many. There is a deep elegance in this. The octopus does not overcome the limitations of being soft. It turns softness into a strategy. It turns vulnerability into camouflage. It turns distributed nerves into dexterity. It turns a short life into rapid learning. Again and again, what looks like a disadvantage becomes part of the animal's success. This is also why octopuses are so useful as a sleep subject. They are visually strange, but emotionally quiet. Their world is underwater, dim, textured, slow, and secretive. Even their most dramatic abilities, camouflage, den building, arm movement, active sleep, unfold in a way that suits a nighttime documentary. They are not merely shocking creatures. They are contemplative creatures to watch. A resting octopus breathing in a den, its mantle gently expanding and contracting, its skin faintly shifting, can make biology feel less like a list of facts and more like a kind of living darkness. The ocean itself adds to this feeling. Water slows motion. Light breaks into moving patterns. Sound travels differently. Smell becomes chemistry and currents. Touch becomes pressure and texture distributed through space. The octopus belongs to that medium completely. Out of water, it seems almost impossible, a collapsing softness, a strange spill of arms. In water, it becomes precise. The same body that looks awkward in air becomes graceful under the sea. This reminds us that intelligence is always adapted to a world. Remove the world, and the intelligence can look strange. Return it to its proper element, and the logic becomes visible. The proper element of the octopus is not only water, but complexity. Rocks, holes, shells, predators, prey, currents, shadows, and surfaces. A bare empty tank is not the world that shaped it. A rich reef, a tide pool, a kelp forest, a rubble field. These are closer to the evolutionary classroom of the octopus mind. This is why enrichment in captivity matters. An intelligent animal in a barren environment is not simply bored in the human sense. It is deprived of the problems its nervous system evolved to solve. Aquariums that care well for octopuses therefore provide puzzles, hiding places, varied textures, changing objects, and opportunities to manipulate. Keepers often describe the need to keep octopuses mentally engaged, not because the animal requires entertainment like a human child, but because its behavior is naturally exploratory. A life without exploration is not a full octopus life. The arms are made to investigate. The suckers are made to sample. The brain is made to respond to novelty. There is a final paradox in how humans relate to octopuses. We admire them for intelligence, but that admiration often begins when they do something human recognizable. Opening a jar, using a coconut shell, recognizing a keeper, escaping a tank. These behaviors are useful bridges for human understanding. But the deepest intelligence of the octopus may lie in things less easy to translate. The continuous adjustment of skin pattern, the local decisions of arms, the chemical reading of surfaces, the selection of a den, the timing of movement and currents, the ability to turn a soft body into a temporary shape suited to the immediate problem. A jar is impressive because we understand jars. A changing skin pattern may be more fundamental, but harder for us to read. The octopus may be most itself in abilities that do not resemble human cleverness at all. So perhaps the best way to listen to the science of octopuses at night is not to imagine them as little people of the sea, but to let them remain unfamiliar. To let the facts widen rather than narrow the imagination. To allow intelligence to become less human-shaped, less centralized, less verbal, less permanent, and more fluid. A mind can be a network of arms under moonlit water. A memory can live in the route from den to hunting ground. A warning can be a sudden bloom of blue rings. A dream, if there is one, can pass across the skin in less than a minute and vanish. A life can be brief and still contain a world. Even the word intelligence may be too narrow for what the octopus shows. Intelligence often suggests solving a puzzle placed by a scientist or producing a clever action visible to a human observer. But much of animal life depends on continuous adjustment rather than spectacular problem solving. The octopus adjusts constantly to the brightness of the water, the pattern of the rock, the pressure inside the mantle, the grip of each sucker, the risk of a predator, the resistance of a shell, the direction of a current. This ongoing responsiveness may be less dramatic than opening a jar, but it is closer to the animal's real life. The octopus also reminds us that evolution does not separate beauty from function. The color changes that look beautiful to us are survival mechanisms. The soft movement that seems graceful is a way of passing through a world of hard edges. The strange distributed nervous system that feels philosophically fascinating is also a practical solution to controlling 8 flexible arms. The animal is beautiful not because nature intended beauty, but because a working solution, refined across immense time, can become beautiful when we finally learn how to see it. There is a quiet humility in studying such an animal. Humans are used to thinking of intelligence as our territory, our category, our hierarchy. The octopus does not compete with us on that hierarchy. It slips sideways out of it. It shows that the world contains forms of awareness, learning, and bodily skill that do not ask permission from human definitions. It does not need language to complicate our idea of mind. It does not need a face to make us wonder what it feels. It does not need a long life to leave a lasting impression on science. And perhaps this is why the octopus makes such a good subject for a sleepy science story. It leads the mind away from ordinary human concerns without becoming empty fantasy. Everything is real. The arms, the neurons, the skin, the suckers, the venom, the eggs, the sleep states, the short life, the deep evolutionary distance. Yet the reality feels almost dreamlike because the animal itself seems to move at the boundary between categories, body and mind, skin and signal, animal and illusion, self and environment. In that boundary, the octopus lives calmly enough. It does not need to explain itself. It simply emerges from the den when the light is low, rearranges its body into the shape required by the moment, and continues the ancient work of being alive. The final thing to remember is that the octopus is not a curiosity standing outside ordinary biology. It is ordinary biology taken in an extraordinary direction. Cells, nerves, muscles, pigments, genes, oxygen, hunger, fear, reproduction, all the same broad materials of animal life are there. What differs is the arrangement. The same planet that produced feathers, flowers, forests, mammalian brains, and coral reefs also produced this soft animal with a thinking skin and exploring arms. The octopus is not an exception to nature. It is one of nature's proofs that the possible is wider than our expectations. So when we speak about octopuses as strange, the strangeness may say as much about us as about them. We are accustomed to our own kind of body, our own kind of attention, our own central nervous system, our own forward-facing way of meeting the world. The octopus reminds us that those are not the only solutions. Life can organize itself around touch rather than speech, camouflage rather than expression, distributed control rather than command, and a brief intense life rather than a long accumulating one. And because it is real, not invented, the wonder is stronger. No myth needed. No exaggeration needed. Just the animal itself, moving quietly through water, carrying an entire alternate history of intelligence in its arms. Sleep well. Good night.